And we are live on Facebook. Hello, everybody on Zoom and on Facebook. Here I am again one more time. ومعانا Kamel Amr. Hello, Kamel. How are you?
Hi, Halia. Hi, everybody listening.
Mhm.
Thanks for having me again.
Oh, thank you. And today's topic is breathing for peak performance. صح?
That's correct. Breathing for peak performance. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Tell me all about it. I am all
All right.
yours.
All right. Excellent. Um, well, I had prepared. I was waiting to see if anybody else was kind of going to log in with us, but since it's us, I hope that everybody that listened to the previous sessions has practiced their visualization.
Mhm.
Hopefully, it worked for you, and um, and hopefully this will be something interesting because I use it a lot. I've used it throughout my life as an athlete, and I still continue to use it today. And I'm also teaching my children how to use this. So it does make a difference in your life. And so today we will be talking about breathing techniques to reach your peak performance. Um, Now, as I did the last time, um, I have a promise for you today as well, is I will give you at the end of the session 5 breathing techniques for you to choose from and practice the ones that suit you best. You can practice them all. You can see how they work for you, each and every one, and you can decide. So that's my promise for today.
Perfect, perfect.
All right. So, um, breathing. I mean, it's not something new, right? We do this every single day. We've been doing it quite well, I believe, since we were kids. Um, and as athletes, we all know how important this is, especially breathing properly. So, what's the difference here in what I will say contra what you already know? Well, I'm going to start with well, I'm actually not going to go into the medical details because I'm not a medical performance person, but um,
Well, let
and
me
on top,
add let me add something that just came on my mind here because your wording was just perfect. It's one of the few things that we're not in charge of. that
thank you.
that yeah. So it's not left to us to decide whether to breathe or not. So.
Exactly, right? So um, what I'm interested in is how you guys as athletes breathe, how you get yourself ready for your competitions, and how paying attention to your breathing uh, will definitely improve your performance. There is no doubt about that. Um, I mean, it starts from the basics of when you run, you don't breathe properly, you get cramps. You start to breathe faster, and you can't cope, and your muscles get tired faster. So this is something that we as athletes are aware of. So, are you still interested in hearing what I have to say?
Very, very.
All right,
I'm
excellent.
kind of not blinking here, huh?
Very good, very good. All right, let's start then. Um, but we all know how to breathe, I hope. Um, we just don't really pay attention to how we do it. So just let's take a few moments here, and we're going to play around and test something. I want you, just for these seconds, to pay attention to your left foot.
Mhm.
Now, is it touching the ground or is it not? Are you wearing socks, or are you barefoot? Are you wearing a shoe? Are you touching the ground or is it in the air? And is the ground ceramic? Is it carpet? Is it cold, warm? Are your feet sweaty? Now I want you to direct your attention to your breathing. Is it shallow or is it deep? Can you make it a tiny bit faster? Can you slow it down? Are you breathing from your chest or are you breathing from your stomach? Well, by now you already forgot about your left foot, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Well,
Right.
left foot.
It's still there. It hasn't disappeared, but you stop noticing it.
Mhm.
And now that I'm talking to you, about your foot, actually, you forgot to notice how you're breathing too. And you see, we do so many things during the day that we forget to pay attention to the tiny details like breathing. And so I'd like to take you to a place where you can pay attention to your breathing, control it, and have it go into an automatic cycle that creates that peak performance you want to achieve. Just as a short story, I remember when I used to train martial arts, my sensei would constantly remind us, mind over body. And he had a very thick Japanese accent, so it was like, mind over body. So, but we didn't laugh. We were really trying to pay attention. And the reason why he said that, it's simply because most times we don't realize that our body is a slave to our mind. And as athletes, we oftentimes forget that our mind controls our body as well. So how does one practice and improve one's mental abilities of breathing? Well, it's through conscious breathing. We do it on a very unconscious level because it's something that we're born into and it's something normal for us. So how do we make it conscious? Well, just as you practice the physical aspect of your training, you need to spend time training and honing your mental skills. And believe me when I tell you, it is absolutely worth the time and effort. So how about some benefits first to start off? Could you tell me perhaps if you know of any benefits apart from having oxygen run into your body for breathing?
That is a very good question.
Just something from the top of your head.
Okay, so apart from oxygenating, we can say healing. I
Correct.
can think of healing.
Mm-hmm.
I can think of, people might not know that, but it helps the bowel rhythm,
Mm-hmm.
like the stomach and all that. Um, benefits of breathing, oxygen. What else? What else do you have in mind?
All right. Well, let me tell you, I've got quite a few here. And as you mentioned, so it's oxygen in the body, it's healing, and it is, what else did you say?
Oh, helping the movement helps the rhythm of the intestine.
Helps the rhythm of the intestines. Correct. Sorry.
Went too complicated here.
Goldfish memory here. Anyway, so the benefits that I want to point out, because we sometimes don't realize that, it reduces pre-match stress. As fencers, you have matches, and these matches, you tend to be stressed perhaps before a match. Most athletes before any match become stressed. Being conscious about your breathing helps you reduce that stress, calming your mind before a competition or a match. The second benefit is it brings you back to a present moment. And what that does, it creates a mindful perspective, which allows you to focus on the moment itself rather than the outcome of the situation, being present and mindful. The third point, obviously, it calms your nerves. It helps you to analyze, recover, and steady your muscles as well. The fourth benefit here is to help you get some sleep or rest. If you have trouble sleeping, the day before a match, which is nervous and it's stress, and or even during, if you have an interview for a new job, sometimes people get stressed and they can't sleep, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, because we are humans, we try to anticipate every possible action or movement, throwing you into an anxious phase sometimes. Very simple thing is just try to breathe counting. Count 1 while inhaling, 2 on your exhale, and that usually helps you to calm you down while you're resting or to sleep. Benefit number 5, it increases your creativity. Now, what has that got to do with creativity? Well, stress and shallow breathing inhibits your mental flexibility. Conscious breathing, on the other hand, helps you widen your frame or the frame of mind and allow you to train and play with greater creativity. Number 6, it increases your physical strength. Slow, deep breathing provides fuel for your body, for your muscles. More oxygen comes in, your muscles are more ready to perform better. It increases your physical stamina. Same idea, more fuel for the body. And then it allows you to go for much longer. I have number 8 here, greater self-confidence. Now, this comes from a little bit of research, right? It has been done. It showed that people who are more aware of their breathing habits tend to have greater self-confidence. The idea to me is exactly like my sensei used to say, control your mind, you control your body. Benefit number 9, it shortens your recovery time. And so now that we know how it benefits us, we need to understand how to do it. And that's, in my opinion, it's a 2-step process. But before we go any further, do you have any questions so far?
None from the Zoom nor from the Facebook, and we've had some interactions here, so people are very interested and listening to you.
Excellent. That's lovely to hear. Thank you everyone again for joining. I'm really excited to have you around. All right. So as I said, this is a 2-step process. The first process, or the first step, is, as I mentioned, conscious awareness. You need to become aware of your breathing. One of the many ways martial artists practice is meditation before and after training matches or competitions. Both in karate, judo, aikido, or the Japanese martial arts. It's called mokuso. Rough translation from Japanese is meditation, but it's a combination of 2 words. Moku, meaning silent, still, and so means thinking or thoughts. Basically, it's silent thoughts. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're not to focus on anything or not thinking about anything. Why it's done is to clear your mind, to ready yourself for training or practice or a match. So in the martial arts that I practiced, for instance, we would come into the dojo, we would salute the master, the sensei, and then we would perform the smokuso for a minute or 2, where we would kneel, and for just 1 minute, we close our eyes and we just focus in the moment. We breathe, silence, to think of whatever thoughts come into your mind, almost like a meditative state, and to allow yourself that space to grow and become aware of your breathing. Right. As I said, like, it's just to let your mind go through a flow of consciousness and your thoughts and breathing, to let you grow a little bit. Now, after that process, in neurolinguistics or in NLP, we use sometimes anchors, physical anchors, exactly like an anchor of a ship, but you anchor yourself to a state of mind that allows you to quickly remind yourself. And these are simple cues that we generally have in our life. Like, for instance, when you open your eyes in the morning, or you open your front door, or if you're allowed to, right? Perhaps even sitting in front of your computer before doing some work or coffee breaks. These are the times where you can choose automatically to start thinking consciously about your breathing. And take these moments, because they're very tiny moments, to be aware. As we run through the day, hectic day, getting up, getting coffee, going to work and all of that, it becomes, we forget it. But these are very simple cues that you can use to become conscious. And by choosing any of these cues to refocus and pay attention to your breathing, you allow that conscious awareness. And I would recommend you, for instance, to choose one or two of these cues that you have during the day and make it a routine, a ritual for yourself. I do it, for instance, when I'm sitting in front of the computer before I start a session with a client. I usually have like 10, 15 minutes of meditation before that. So that allows me to be conscious and aware of my breathing. I do it before going to sleep. I do it in the morning. And I also do it just before I open the door to my car, if I'm going somewhere. And once it becomes a habit, you'll realize you don't really need to focus on it again, because you'll start breathing properly. But that awareness helps you to focus and gain that edge. The second step is when you realize how you're breathing, or if your breathing is problematic or shallow, you can practice controlling it. How do you do that? Well, first things first. Let's try together something. Take a deep breath through your nose and exhale slowly. That's the first step. But now you want to include a vital part to breathing properly. Breathing from your stomach. Don't lift your chest and puff yourself up like a rooster. Expand your tummy. And just for the sake of how it is, I'll be a dad and I'll show you what that means. All right, everybody sees my tummy? So breathe in and out. Why do you do that? This allows your diaphragm to expand more, and it gets more oxygen into your lungs. I'm not going to go more into details than that, but this is the physical aspect of it. That is my technique. That's the best technique that I use for myself to breathe, and it helps me. So after showing you my dad belly,
just reminds you how big everybody's bellies are. Like, wow, tuck it in, girl.
Glad it came up with the t-shirt. It was okay. I didn't need to strip. Like, you don't have to pay me a lot of money for me to strip.
With those Zoom meetings, you have no idea what the remaining part of the clothes are. You know?
Right? All right. So that's the aspect, or the idea, the two steps basically of breathing. Now, here comes the fun part. I've selected 4 techniques to use all around or whenever you want to help you breathe properly, control your breathing, whether it's before a match, whether it's you want to focus again, or just have more oxygen. And you can select which of these 4 resonate with you. But before we go there, do we have still any questions?
We are still good. Nothing on Facebook yet, so we're good to go.
Excellent. All right. So The first technique, it's called the square breathing, like a square. A square breathing, we can do it together. You want to take a deep center breath, counting up to 4 during the inhale, taking 4 seconds hold, and then you exhale for 4 seconds, and holding again your breath for 4 seconds before you inhale again. So we'll do it together. So it's and that's the square technique. And what you do with that is, I would recommend you to do it at least in 5 cycles. Of course, you can do it longer if you have the time to really do it properly, and you will reap the benefits of that breathing technique. And it's very simple. Like I said, 4 seconds in, 4 seconds break, holding your breath, 4 seconds exhale, and again 4 seconds before you inhale again. The second technique, it's called counting breathing. Now, for this practice, you will just simply count your breaths with a nice controlled rhythm. So you take 3 seconds to inhale and a 3-second exhale. Then in your mind, you say 1. Then you inhale again for 3 seconds. You exhale again for 3 seconds, and then you count 2 in your mind. You'll basically just simply count the breaths of in and out, 1 in and out, 2 in and out, 3 in and out. Repeating this pattern for 10, 20 is the simplest way to bring your focus back to something you can control. It also helps you to calm your breathing cycle and being intentional about the pace. So if we do it together, it will be one, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. Again, it's about controlling your breath, or your breathing, actually, not your breath. Can't control that. Have a stinky one, it's your problem. Take notes. All right. This is the one that I enjoy, that I practice a lot, which is the diaphragm breathing, right? And the easiest way to do it is you lie down and put one hand on your chest or your upper chest and one on your belly. And like just above the belly button, right? And you allow your breathing to just go normal, like as normal as it is, for 1 or 2 minutes. Think about anything else that you want to, not your breathing. Just leave your hands there. And then notice which of your hands is moving. If you find that the hand on your chest is the one doing the work, then you can concentrate on breathing more from your diaphragm, your belly, your tummy. That is the correct way to breathe, by moving your diaphragm, which means the hand on your abdomen, your tummy, should move up and down as you breathe. But the hand on the chest should be steady. And then you try this for 20 breaths, 30 breaths if you want to, or even if you're meditating or you do your visualization process, breathe that way. It helps you. Well, again, it's just normal breathing, but just expand your diaphragm and breathe from your tummy. That for me is my favorite. That's the one that I practice a lot. That's the one that is easier for me to control, because then I don't have to think about the counting and all of that. But the counting does help because it puts your mind somewhere else. You're just focusing on the counting and on the breathing, and so any other thoughts will disappear. The fourth technique is mantra breathing. And you do this practice by thinking of who you want to be, what you want to feel like. Or for instance, the words that you've told yourself in a visualization image. I want to be strong. I want to be confident. I am a winner. I am a great athlete. And each time you inhale, think about the words or the sentences and allow yourself to be in a very objective place, that you want to bring these moments or these aspects into your life. So you breathe in and you, for instance, think calm, patient, focused, relaxed, prepared, confident. And you inhale and you do the process again and again. You can just focus on deep, slow breathing and continue to repeat the positive words or the positive intentions to yourself as you inhale. Exhale, do it again and again. This is also a meditative technique. And that mantra can be whatever mantra you want it to be. You can even take mantras from real gurus or Buddhists, if you're into that. That helps as well. One of those is what I use with my children. So we do the diaphragm breathing, but we also do the mantra. And the mantra, we use Om, as in Om Shanti, but we just do Om. So we breathe in, Om, and we let it go, and then we breathe in again. And that is how we practice it. We also practice it with positive wordings, smart and strong, confident, and all of that. And as an NLP trainer and as a martial artist, I would recommend any of you who have children to definitely start meditation at a young age.
I cannot
Trust me,
hold
it
it,
helps.
Kamal, but to say that I don't think it worked today, putting them to sleep.
No, my son wanted a little bit more love, that's all.
Oh, okay. Oh,
So
I'm kidding, of course, but just
I
had to
can't say no
comment
to
about.
them. I can't say no to them when they want more love.
Oh,
They precede anything else.
isn't that the best way? And this is how it should be, right?
Definitely.
You can never spoil them with more love.
Absolutely not. All right. The fifth technique, it's called the 1-2 breathing. And you do this controlled breathing practice by inhaling for a certain amount of seconds or a certain number, and you exhale for the double amount of the time you inhale. For example, let's say you inhale for 3 seconds, then you want to take 6 seconds to exhale. So all right. And over time, that will also help you build your capacity, your lung capacity, and it will challenge yourself to exhale even slower, allowing you more control over your breathing. Yeah, so these are the 5 techniques that I have for today.
Can we summarize them one more time for everybody here
absolutely,
watching?
Absolutely. So number 1 is the square breathing. So 4 seconds in, 4 seconds break, hold, 4 seconds exhale, and 4 seconds hold. And you repeat that cycle. And then, and if people want, I can share them under the video as a comment afterwards. The second one is the counting breaths. So you take a 3-second inhale and a 3-second exhale, and you count 1. So that's considered 1 cycle. The third one is the diaphragm breathing, so the tummy breathing. The fourth is mantra breathing. Again, you breathe in and you think about the mantras or the positive words you want to attach yourself with, think about, and then you slowly exhale. And the fifth one is the 1-2 breathing, which is you breathe in or you inhale for a certain amount of seconds and you exhale the double amount of those seconds. So if you say you inhale for 3 seconds, that means you exhale for 6 seconds. This is a very good practice for lung capacity as well. One thing I'll just mention is that because I've incorporated my diaphragm breathing every day and all the time during most of every actions of my daily routines, it has become something very unconscious for me. I don't need to pay attention to how I'm breathing anymore. I automatically breathe from my tummy. And of course, when I want to just refocus and recenter myself, that's when I pay attention. Okay, am I breathing from my tummy? And then I start breathing again and I count it. And that's a stage it's a stage that we call unconscious competence, right? There are 4 stages in a person's knowledge of skills. One is unconscious incompetence. So you're unaware of your competencies. Then there's conscious incompetence. You are aware of your lack of capabilities or your competencies. Then you have the conscious competence, where you are aware of your competence. That means when you do something, you have to really focus on it. So for instance, if you are doing something that you have to focus, I don't know, maybe maths, if you don't like maths, and then somebody comes to chat with you, and you go like, no, I have to focus on this. I have to focus on this. And that's a conscious competence part. Now, if you start doing like many ladies or men even that do the tricot or knitting, they just knit. They don't even need to look at it anymore. And that's the stage that becomes a very unconscious competence stage, where you are competent with what you're doing and you're doing it without thinking. If you reach that stage, that is very, very, very good for you as a breather or as an athlete. And yet again, for peak performance, you need to be aware of your breathing, incorporating it during training, before training, after training, or even during matches as well. And that's most of what I have about breathing techniques for peak performance. Mm-hmm. So I'm ready to take any questions if anybody has anything, or if you have any questions.
Thank you. I think with the breathing exercises, and I really believe in the word exercises, is that you have to practice. So the more you practice, the more you become better. And like you said, it becomes an unconscious habit for you to adapt with the situation, or before a stressful situation, or before any, we call it a bout or a match, or any worry or stressful competitor that you will be facing, so that you focus on the breathing, not on the negative thoughts that you were trying to really, the negative thoughts controls you, you know. So absolutely. So that part where you said exercise it, train it, and practice it, it's definitely useful.
Yeah, that's very important. And yes, we are humans, so we tend to go to the negative outcomes. But if you focus on your breathing, you'll realize that, okay, all these other thoughts, they disappear, and you'll have the energy to reach your peak performance.
Beautiful. You want to brief us on the logo that you have?
Logo.
Yes.
Of course.
So everybody knows. I know we've discussed it together, but I want to share it because today you have this very nice virtual background. So.
All right. So Ma'at is the ancient Egyptian goddess of balance, harmony, order, justice, and truth. And there are there are certain rules that the ancient Egyptian used to follow to be able to go to the afterlife. And just as a small explanation, when a person died, their soul would go to the judgment day, if you want to call it, and their heart was balanced with the feather of Ma'at. She doesn't have her feather on this picture or on this logo. And if the heart weighed less than the feather, they would go to the afterlife of the ancient Egyptians. But putting that part aside, being the goddess of balance, harmony, and order, as human beings, we tend to forget that our life is automatically chaotic if we don't control the things that we can control. And my purpose in life is to help people realign their core values. And my core values are aligned with balance and harmony in my life. And if we allow those to be implemented in our daily routines, then we find order. And that's where the logo came from. And that's why I want to help people create that.
That's beautiful, beautiful, and a great way to express it. And order was the first word that jumped on my mind when you started explaining or expressing the meaning.
Thank you.
So putting your life in order, that will be our end of today's discussion. A beautiful way to put it. Thank you, Kamel, for today. Beautiful, beautiful, and looking forward for next week. I'm really interested to see what you have to say next week.
Thank you very much, Alia, and thank you everybody for watching. And I'll give you a hint soon about it.
Okay. Thank you, everybody on Zoom and on Facebook. See you next week.